Hello and welcome to another 3-minute devotional. During this series, we're looking at the stories of Jesus. And while I was thinking about which story I wanted to focus on, I felt drawn to this parable of the lost coin. But the point of this series is the stories of Jesus. So I wanted to read it in context and see what was going on. And when I did, something so amazing unfolded for me, and I can't wait to share it with you. So let's start with the beginning of the chapter where this story is found. It's in Luke 15, and here's how the chapter starts. Tax collectors and other notorious sinners often came to listen to Jesus teach. This made the Pharisees and teachers of religious law complain that he was associating with such despicable people and even eating with them. And then Jesus goes on to tell some stories. Actually, 3 stories that all have the same point. And really, we've heard all of them, but it's kind of amazing when you put them in order and watch them unfold. The first one is the story of the Good Shepherd who leaves the 99 to go and get the one sheep. The second story is the story of the lost coin. And here's what this story says. Suppose a woman has 10 valuable silver coins and loses one. Won't she light a lamp and look in every corner of the house and sweep every nook and cranny until she finds it? And when she finds it, she will call in her friends and neighbors to rejoice with her because she's found her lost coin. In the same way, there's joy in the presence of God's angels when even one sinner repents. So again, this is another story about God going after something that's lost and celebrating when it is brought home. But what's radical about this is that Jesus in the synagogue is telling women, I'm talking to you, right? It's the story of the shepherd. Now he's saying, women, I mean this for you too. And in Jewish culture, the women were not valued and they didn't have power. So the idea that he was speaking to them at that time was really kind of mind-blowing and purposeful on his part. So here he is, he's in the synagogue, tax collectors and sinners are there, and it's really bugging the religious leaders. So he tells the story of the lost sheep, he tells the story of the lost coin, and then he tells the story of the prodigal son. And what he's doing is he's going, you know what, God's heart is for the lost. Now I'm going to speak to the disenfranchised and tell you again, God's heart is for the lost. And then he goes to the prodigal son and he kind of flips it around and puts the religious leaders in their place, because he, in the prodigal son, includes the story of the older son who was not happy about the son who was a prodigal returning and the celebration. And Jesus is tailoring every one of these stories to meet each person in his audience, so that every heart is touched with this one truth. God is seeking to save that which is lost. He's going after them, he's pursuing them, and when they come home, he celebrates. Heaven celebrates when someone turns to Jesus and says, I'm going to follow you. And I just was so excited as I dug into that and realized how creative Jesus was and how specific he was to make sure that he reached the heart of every person in his audience. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed this 3-minute devotional.